Daily Tech News Show is made possible by you, the listeners. Thanks to all of you, including Johnny Hernandez, High Tech Okie, Chris Zaragoza, and everybody welcome our two new patrons, Toby and Luther. Yay! Welcome.
Toby Luther.
Toby. On this episode of DTNS, Reddit calls out search engines for treating it like freeware. Google announces new Gemini features for Chrome users. And Justin Robert Young is going to talk next steps on two U.S. bills designed to make kids safer online. This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, August 1st, 2024. Happy August, everyone. From Studio Animal House, I'm Sarah Lane.
From deep in the heart of Texas, I'm Justin Robert Young.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
Well, Justin, your favorite social network Meta says that Threads is about to hit 200 million monthly active users, up from 150 million at the beginning of last month. Let's move on to the quick hits.
Yeah. God bless all those people who accidentally went there from Instagram.
Sony-owned video game developer Bungie laid off 220 employees, or about 17% of the studio's workforce on Wednesday. Bungie CEO Pete Parsons explained the reason for the cuts were rising costs of development, industry shifts, and enduring economic conditions, kind of boilerplate stuff. Also said Bungie needs to focus all of its future efforts on live service looter shooter Destiny and the upcoming game Marathon. Another 155 employees will transition into roles at Sony Interactive Entertainment over the next few quarters.
On Thursday, the EU Commission announced it unconditionally approved Hewlett-Packard Enterprise's $14 billion takeover of networking gear maker Juniper Networks. The EC says that its investigation has concluded the deal would not significantly reduce competition in markets for wireless local area network equipment and access points, Ethernet campus switches, or data center switches as well. The deal was first announced back in January.
Sports streaming service Venue, that's VENU, get it? Venue, but, spelled differently, which contains sports offerings from Disney, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery, will launch with an initial price tag of $42.99 per month. Venue is expected to debut alongside the start of the NFL season, so this fall, and will include sports content from 14 different TV networks, including several ESPN channels, FS1, TNT, and a library of documentaries and other programs from the archives of ESPN, Fox Sports, and others. Venue will offer a 7-day free trial if you're interested, and the initial monthly rate is promised for at least a year, so assume it'll hike up after that, and you'll also have the ability to cancel at any time.
It's almost like a bundle.
It is.
As part of the Xbox Insiders beta program, Discord is adding direct friends and chat integrations to Xbox Series X and S consoles. You can now watch your friends' streams without having to launch a separate app. A new Discord app on the Xbox Friends list under the Happening Now tab will display all of your Discord friends. Then you can join the server, voice channel, or call friends directly, as well as find your friends if they're streaming from their console. Discord is rolling out the features more broadly in the coming weeks.
We had a lot of earnings reports yesterday. It's just a week for earnings reports, and we have a few notable today, starting with Meta, which reported a strong second quarter with revenue up 22% from $32 billion a year earlier, net income up 73% over a year earlier to $13.47 billion. This was in large part due to the legacy digital ad business that you might be familiar with on Facebook and Instagram. But Meta's Reality Labs unit, which makes the Quest VR headset, the Ray-Ban AR glasses, and has some other stuff cooking, recorded an operating loss of $4.48 billion, well above its revenue, which came in at $353 million. So losses much more than gains. Revenue, though, is up 28% over a year earlier for Reality Labs. They didn't hit analyst expectations, but it is growing, but still quite a few losses. In other earnings news, Qualcomm's revenue was up 11% to $9.39 billion in its Q3. ARM's revenue was up 39% to $830 million in its Q2. However, both companies warned they didn't expect phone shipment numbers, which make up big chunks of both of their businesses, to do much rallying in 2024. Kind of just a flat market right now. eBay beat expectations in its Q2 with $2.57 billion in revenue. Also counts the metric of gross merchandise volume rising 1% to 18.4 billion. But sales forecast for the following quarter shows some flat numbers rather than growth. All right, Justin, when you were on just a week ago, we talked about Reddit versus the search engines. Reddit has financial agreements with Google Search. OpenAI's Search GPT also has a new agreement with Reddit so that both of those companies can crawl Reddit content for their AI offerings to consumers, scraping Reddit data and offering it in their search results. Reddit says it's open to deals with other companies, just have to agree on the terms. But CEO Steve Huffman tells The Verge that Microsoft, Anthropic, and Perplexity, which do not have deals with Reddit at this time, are using Reddit data anyway. Huffman takes particular issue with Microsoft, says despite updating its robots.txt file on July 1st to block web crawlers that it doesn't have agreements with, which it's totally allowed to do, and companies are supposed to honor that Microsoft has been using Reddit's data to train its AI models and Bing results anyway, and that the data has also been sold through the Bing API to other search engines. So Microsoft's taking it and then profiting off of it. Huffman also pointed to a comment by Microsoft AI CEO Mustafa Suleyman made back in June at a conference, which said, I think that with respect to content that's already on the open web, the social contract of that content since the 90s has been that it is fair use. Anyone can copy it, recreate with it, reproduce with it. That has been freeware, if you like. That's been the understanding. Okay, so that's the quote. Also, Microsoft's head of search, Jordi Ribas, said on X recently that Reddit has blocked Bing from crawling their site for search, favoring another search engine and impacting competition from Bing and Bing-powered engines. They were talking about Google, of course. So, Justin, Reddit and Microsoft, if we just focus on these two companies, seem to have very different versions of the story. Where do you lean?
Well, if we're going to understand this fight, let's understand it as Reddit wants money, Microsoft has money, and Reddit wants the money that Microsoft has for the rights to Reddit information, real-time Reddit information that Microsoft can use in Bing. Now, that's what I see this particular fight as. We can then take that one level of abstraction deep into what Reddit is talking about and where Microsoft believes that they are. But in this particular case, I do think that, and it is correct, in my opinion, Reddit should sue people that they want to pay them to let them know that's what the cost is for this particular game. Because I don't know what the value of ongoing data is going to be in the AI world. But Reddit's in that business. They are creating fresh data. Now, if you're a user of Reddit and you don't want that, too bad, so sad. But if you're Reddit, the company, you should be pushing this.
Right. Yeah, because you can complain and you can say, hey, everyone, listen, this is, we at Reddit think that Microsoft is very bad and
we're
Microsoft
so mad.
Yeah, like nobody, that doesn't move the needle at all. But if you take Microsoft to court, whether or not you're going to win, that at least sends a message and potentially gets you what you want.
Well, I mean, it's exactly what the New York Times has done, right?
Right.
And if you look at high quality data, that's really what this is about. High quality data, and then the future of search. Because look at who they targeted. Google Search has a deal. Search GPT has a deal. The people that they're targeting past that are Perplexity and Bing, as well as Anthropic. Now, Anthropic says that they're not doing it, but Perplexity is a search engine that is a very small company, so nobody's gotten back to anybody. And Microsoft says, we're not doing it. We are honoring the robot.txt file. Now, is there an element of Bing's search, which is powered by OpenAI, so this gets a little fuzzy amongst all of this, that does spit back Reddit data? 100%. And guess what? Here's the reason why Reddit should be making deals with anybody who has enough money to make a deal right now, is because a lot of what LLMs learn to speak on Reddit back and forths. That's a lot of the syntax onto how LLMs talk. The basis of training a smaller large language model is to ask a bigger one a ton of questions, have it spit out a ton of answers, and then train a smaller model on that data. There is no doubt that there will be remnants of not only those models, but also the data that they're trained on, including Reddit data, that will continue and persist into smaller models as we go along. That's going to be an artifact of just the world that we live in. And so I don't know. High quality data is important, but if you have it right now, make money while you can, baby.
Yeah. Of note, Reddit also says, if you're thinking like, well, are all these, handshake, well, they're not handshake agreements. They're certainly inked somewhere on a piece of paper. But Reddit says none of the content licensing deals include exclusive use cases for data. Basically, if you pay, you get all the information that everybody else gets. It's just you have to pay. And you noted that Anthropic had responded to The Verge saying, "Yeah, we're respecting robots." TXT. So we're not doing anything wrong. We know that that's the way it goes, and we're playing nicely. Microsoft didn't actually decline to respond. Perplexity didn't get back to The Verge. So there might be more to this story. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that if Reddit really wants to take this seriously, complaining about the fact that we know you're taking our data, we can tell. You can say whatever you want. We know you're doing it. Take them to court. That's where you're going to get the if not the outcome you want, make some noise.
Find yourself at the pay window, baby. Come on.
That's right.
Google updated its Gemma 2 family of open source language models, including the new compact 2 billion parameter model called Gemma-2-2B that Google says outperforms some larger ChatGPT 3.5 level models despite running on less powerful devices. Gemma 2-2B can be found on Kaggle, Hugging Face, and Vertex AI Model Garden, plus Google AI Studio or the free Google Collab plan. Google also introduced Shield Gemma, a set of content filtering classifiers in 2, 9, and 27 billion parameter versions designed to detect and mitigate harmful content in AI inputs and outputs, focusing on hate speech, harassment, sexually explicit material, and dangerous content. Gemma Scope is another new tool trying to bring more transparency to AI with more context on how Gemma 2 models sort through data to help researchers recognize patterns, process information, and make predictions. Both Shield Gemma and Gemma Scope are free.
For anyone on the that sounds interesting, but what about us consumers? New Gemini-powered features are coming to desktop Chrome, including Lens for desktop. Lens has been around for a while, but it was only available on mobile. That lets you select a part of a page, for example, or even a specific item, maybe a windbreaker somebody's wearing in a photo. For that's actually something I'm in the market for right now. And then you can ask more questions and get some search results, places to buy it. Tab Compare also rolling out in the coming weeks that gives you a summary of similar brands. Let's say you're looking for new running shoes and you've got 5 tabs open. They're all different brands, and you're trying to make a comparison so that you buy the right one. That would be something that Google could collate into one single area. And then Google's also rolling out AI-powered history search with an opt-in feature for US users. So it is opt-in, but you could say something like, what ramen shop was I looking at last week? Maybe you don't remember the name of the ramen place or where it is. And, you don't feel like going through your search history. And that URL could be brought up to you without you having to remember much else. Google says none of that data is used to train Gemini. It's just used to make your life easier. So, Justin, we've got some high-level stuff and we got some everyday consumer stuff. What jumps out at you?
I'm so glad that we put these two together, because it just tells you the story of Google and AI. The first part of this story was about the excellent work that the researchers at Google, which are among the best in the world, are doing in this field. I do believe that the future of AI is not one model. I believe that the ways that we are going to create internet applications and physical devices that will change our world are going to be based on multiple models, at least initially, so we can figure out what the most exact configuration that we need, where models are speaking to each other and spitting out something that is truly revolutionary. And stuff like this, really, really, really lightweight models that have very specific purposes are amazing. And the fact that Google is popping them out shows that they are an industry leader. And it also shows the failure of imagination that they have in their organization to weaponize these in a way that truly revolutionizes something for consumers. Because the only thing that is even close to interesting, in my opinion, here is the idea that with our wealth of data that we spit into Google, they now have an easier way to crawl that data and remember a thing for us. But even then, it is the most surface level way that you could interact with this pile of data that you could ever think of. Everything else is tied directly into a financial transactional perspective, which means that marketers run that company. Even the example they gave in the one thing that I think would be useful is about marketing. It is essentially a new way that they can serve you an ad word. This is not the company of Gmail anymore. This is not the company of Google Docs. This is not the company of Maps. This is the company of how can we sell you a windbreaker?
Well, okay. So for somebody who is in the market for a windbreaker, and I'm always looking at running shoes, so those are two examples that are very specific to me. I was impressed by this. I mean, this is rolling out now, and it's today's news, so I haven't been able to play around with it. But the idea that Google Lens is cool. Google Lens has been cool. Google Lens for desktop, I think, is because I'm constantly, maybe. Looking at, something online and being like, yeah, maybe, but, where is that mountain? Let's take part of the page, get some information on that. Or, yes, that windbreaker is perfect. It looks so good on her. Love the color. Where can I find it or something comparable, for a certain price? That stuff is very day-to-day helpful to me. Price comparison, also helpful because, if I'm looking at Nike.com and Adidas.com and onrunning.com, whatever their URL is, and I'm trying to figure out how the shoes are different for rough hiking terrain and price comparison, instead of flipping back and forth between all of those websites, I can get it all in one place. That's also very nice. I mean, where do I really see that anywhere else besides Amazon for certain kinds of products, mostly electronics? I don't know. I know what you're saying. This is all just kind of silly Google stuff, but a lot of people out there, not necessarily our audience, but a lot of folks will say, all right, Gemma 2 model, Shield Gemma, Gemmascope, that's for scientists and researchers. How is Google going to help me on Chrome? I use Chrome.
I mean, it's not to say that you're wrong here, but Maps helped you go to a mall. It also helps you go to your friend's house. It also helps you find your kids' preschool, right? It's not to say that Gmail doesn't help you get hot deals on new products. It does that, but it also helps you write a letter to your crush. There are real human connections that have been made by Google products, and it doesn't seem that they are particularly interested in that. And you've seen that in the ad that they are playing on the Olympics every 5 seconds, where the most compelling example that they can tell a worldwide audience is have Gemini write your kid's letter to her favorite athlete. That's it. Right. There's no other way that they can make AI relevant to your life than something that is distinctly inhuman. And that's where I think it is not the fuel. And you're right. Most people don't care about those models. The developers that are going to create the next 10 years of the internet, they do care about those models, and they're going to create things that do connect humanity and make us excited, and we'll be talking about on this very show. Yeah, it's just the current leadership that I think is bankrupt, not morally bankrupt, creatively bankrupt on anything other than how can we place an ad word next to it, or how can we get a cut when Sarah Lane buys a windbreaker from wherever we're going to direct her to buy it.
Yeah. If anybody has windbreaker suggestions for me, do send them our way. Feedback at
For real, the hot windbreaker tips. We are here for them.
Yeah, it's like, wire cutter only takes me so far these days. But yeah, speaking of Google commercials during the Olympics, the Jay-Z Gemini commercial, I mean, at least if you've got YouTube TV, boy, do you see that one every single commercial break. And it really doesn't tell you much about what Gemini does. It just moves around and, has a peppy beat.
It reminds you that Jay-Z's cool, though.
Yeah, it's a good song. Well, what's also good is shows about AI that go deep into all of this stuff, because clearly the world of AI is coming in hot and fast. AI named the show is the show for you. Each week, Tristan Jutra and Tasia Custodi wade through the hype and the doomsaying, because there's a lot of both, keeping you informed about the latest news in the AI world. Catch it at AINamedTheShow.com. On Tuesday, the U.S. Senate passed 2 online safety bills in a bipartisan vote, 91-3, overwhelmingly. The Kids Online Safety Act, or KOSA, K-O-S-A, and the Children Teens Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA, C-O-P-P-A 2.0. The bills still need to be passed by the House before being sent to President Biden for signing. You might say, well, the Senate certainly thinks they're a good idea, so they'll just sail on through. Not necessarily true, right, Justin? Forms of these 2 bills have been floating around Congress for some time. And you've got some ideas on how much they, if you were a betting man, stand to go ahead and get signed by President Biden, right?
They're dead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're both dead.
Are they dead or just mostly dead?
Dead as a doornail. Jimmy Hoffa under Giant Stadium. The roaches at the end of the Raid commercial dead. This is over. The House isn't even going to bring it up, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of squealing about it, at least as of now. Of course, between now and the end of the session, which will be at the end of this year, we will see. I mean, if something happens that shakes this loose, obviously that might change. But as it stands right now, there is wide bipartisan criticism of these bills for the same reason that a lot of their forefathers had criticism, and that is that there is a lot of trepidation about granting the internet censorship capabilities over the internet, even for the most broadly understood and sympathetic reason, and that is the safety of children.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So it's dead. It's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Absolutely not going to happen.
So just because you think about all this stuff, this is what you do for a living is all things political. Someone says, all right, well, so was all of that work done for naught? The whole, everyone's opinion in the Senate, does that move the needle in any way behind the scenes?
Well, remember, this is a battle that has been going on for a very long time. So many of this audience will remember very, very vividly SOPA and PIPA. I mean, these are a lot of these same ideas. The push has always been the same. We have vulnerable people online, and we need to provide more tools for the government to keep them safe. Mm-hmm. The argument has always been the same from folks who value internet privacy, which is that censorship by way of the government on the freest form of communication that the world has ever known, the World Wide Web, is something that we want to do less of, that we are scared of. Now, you might think that as more children have got online, and they are online earlier in their lives, and they are therefore, there's a wider target to be taken advantage of, that the public might begin to become more sympathetic to the problem, because indeed the problem has grown. And yet, for both, for everybody along the ideological spectrum, there has also grown a worry that government control over internet communication is worrisome. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter who is in power, somebody has a reason to be upset about it. And so what you are seeing now with a very ungovernable House that is run by the Republicans as of now, but it is either coalition, either on the Democratic side or the Republican side, is particularly in sync with each other. There are enough people that believe this is just not something that they want to touch. And so I'm curious about the next go round, because we will see another round of this in the same way that the defeat of SOPA and PIPA didn't stop KOSA and COPPA from showing up. We're going to see another acronym bill that will be pushed forward, and the arguments will be the exact same. The most vulnerable among us are being picked off, and let me show you some of the most horrible stories that you could possibly imagine about child exploitation. The difference is that I think we are getting further away from a normie versus internet argument. Normies would believe, yes, children are being exploited on the internet, we need to make a law. Internet people say, wait a minute, it depends exactly what that law is. I think that if they are going to succeed, they will have to become increasingly narrower, or else you're going to run into these kind of problems like you're seeing in the House right now, where they won't even bring it up.
I mean, I know KOSA specifically tries, the intent is to address addictive behavior. Social networks that have at least for some younger people have become addictive to the point of being harmful, at least in the eyes of those who want these bills to pass. I've always I think, I mean, if that's what it is, then you don't want something to be addicted. I mean, you don't want to be addicted to things, especially if they end up turning into harmful thoughts and stuff like that. But everybody's different. So I'm with the folks who say, wait a second, blanket laws that apply to everyone, even though humans are all different. And, young kids, while impressionable, also have they don't have the exact same growing up shared experience. We're all special snowflakes, at all ages. So, there is part of this where I go, yeah, okay, I get it. But at the same time, doing nothing doesn't seem like the right answer either.
But, this is something that the internet has carried as a vanguard. We will give up freedoms for what we can do and build and communicate at our peril. And that has been at the heart of the dispute of any and all of these bills, and they will be the next time it comes around.
Well, all right. We will definitely talk about it when they come on back around, because I bet they will. All right, Let's check out the mailbag. So yesterday we had an email, Corey, who explained how he had his house intentionally burned down, which was cheaper for him to build another structure on his property, and also gave firefighters the opportunity to do some training in a burning building. Anon Jr. wrote on Patreon, "You'd be surprised at where training opportunities come in. When I worked for a hospital in their training and development department, for a while we'd teach CPR at the county high schools, and to promote first responder jobs, set up a demo of responding to a car wreck. Fire and EMS got training time on the jaws of life and other equipment. Local junkyard got a tax write-off for donating the wrecked car, and kids got to see some on-the-job training and get opportunities that didn't require them going broke on tuition. Sadly, the program got less impressive when the guy spearheading it left the department." Now, before the show, I was telling you the story that Anna Jr. is responding to, and you were like, "What? Does that really happen?" And indeed, it does. Yeah. In fact, during our show yesterday, we were getting all sorts of comments, in real time from chatters saying, "Oh yeah, I've heard of this. This is a training opportunity that benefits everybody in certain circumstances." So, sounds like a
so
car
funny.
crash might be a good training situation as well.
I grew up on Nova Drive in Davie, Florida. Shout out to all of our South Floridian listeners, where the fire training facility is for the county. So periodically there would just be this gigantic billow of smoke, because they had a 3-story area that they would just light on fire to train firefighters, how to do their job. So I can only imagine if a situation like that happened next door because somebody got permission to raise their house by way of flames.
Right. Yeah. Probably need some acreage around it, where you're gonna get a very lively city council meeting. Justin
Yeah.
Robert Young, we love your liveliness. We love having you on every week, and we love following everything that you do. So let folks know what it is you do.
Well, friends, you can get the We're Not Wrong program that is featuring myself, Jen Briney, and Andrew Heaton. Also, if you are in the Chicago area, I know we got a lot of DTNS listeners in the Windy City. We're doing a live show out there that is in, this month, August 18th on Sunday. Tickets info will be available soon, but put it on your calendar. The day before the Democratic National Convention starts, we will be there. We're Not Wrong live.
Indeed. Check it out. Also, patrons, stick around for the extended show, Good Day Internet, where we're talking about teeth. Specifically, if you would let a robot perform your next dental surgery. You might say no. But what if it was faster and more precise? Maybe.
Cheaper.
The conversation, even cheaper. The conversation rolls on. But just a reminder, you can catch our show live Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. That is 2000 UTC. And you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. We're back doing it all again tomorrow, talking about those Pixel 9 leaks and what to expect at Google's August 13th event, with Ron Richards joining us. Talk to you then.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.